welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And this week we're going to talk about Good Omens, the TV show on Prime by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, our second Neil Gaiman in a row.
Yes. But first, sometimes we like things.
Yeah.
Dan, what did you like this week?
So after I mentioned it last episode, the HBO Chernobyl, I read a book called Midnight in Chernobyl.
Ooh.
It was about the entire disaster, and this, of course, because it's a book, it's nonfiction, it goes very much into the details about the Russian nuclear program, and then, back and forth, and then just more about the efforts that a 5-part miniseries just could not cover.
Right.
As I was reading it, I was kind of like, oh, there's a lot of really recent information. Then I found out, I think it was published last year in 2018,
Oh, wow.
so it was super up to date. So Midnight in Chernobyl by Adam Higginbotham was the author.
Cool.
Really enjoyed it.
Nice. Anything else? Or
That was
just
it. Yeah. Well, I was mostly
climbing?
doing stuff for this episode. Like I reread
yeah.
Good Omens, the book, and watched the show.
Fair enough.
So-
I didn't read the whole book, but I watched the show twice.
Yeah. So there you go.
But the thing I like this week,
Yes.
I've been rewatching The Nanny. It's the kind of comedy that I really appreciate. It's not necessarily always laugh out loud for me, but it's that kind of like I Love Lucy style comedy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that takes a certain amount of talent to be able to pull off properly, because otherwise it's kind of like Adam Sandler-y. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like if I Love Lucy is the standard, or like Carol Burnett or something like that, and then Adam Sandler is like the worst possible version of that. The Nanny comes pretty close to the good end.
Okay, there you go. Very nice. That's also on Prime, right?
Also on Prime, not sponsored.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to, Prime, I'm your gal.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just like physical comedy, which is like hilarious, but like the type of jokes. I think I talked about this in BoJack, where somebody will say something and then somebody will instantly contradict it.
Yeah.
They kind of do that a lot too, right? Just not in the same way.
Right. Well, and how many seasons is that show? Is there?
There's 6 seasons, and I'm in the beginning of season 4.
And that was back when they were making 20-something episodes a season, though.
24 episodes
Yeah.
a season.
So it's just there's so much to watch.
There's so there's a lot of recycled jokes.
Sure.
But they're really funny, so I don't mind.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, and again, something like that was usually it wasn't on daily. It was on daily, let's say, but in syndication, not new episodes.
Yeah.
So it's not TV wasn't written like that back then, where it was people are gonna watch all of it in a row.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, there's a lot of 90s sitcoms that feel like the characters actually hate each other.
Right.
And they're really mean to each other. If you ever, you watch Friends on mute or something or not, without the laugh track, sorry, not on mute. Then you're like, oh, these people don't like each other. But you genuinely feel like the cast of The Nanny, the characters in The Nanny like each other, and I think it makes it a little bit more of an endearing show.
Sure.
Versus people who are just looking for that zinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anyways, we're not talking about The Nanny. That's next week.
Oh no, that's new.
Surprise, Dad.
Yeah.
You have 6 times 24 episodes to watch.
I don't think I'll make it.
Don't worry, they're only 20 minutes long, and there's a bunch of stars from the 90s that you probably won't recognize.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's Good Omens.
Good Omens!
Like Devin said, by Neil Gaiman. And I was actually not surprised, but I was glad when I was reading that he wrote all the screenplays.
Yeah.
And someone else directed it. So I was like...
He was, unlike American Gods, the showrunner. So he picked the director, he picked the... Okay.
Before you get all into it...
I loved it.
Sure. I mean, it was great. I loved it as well. I would highly recommend it to everyone.
Vastly superior than American Gods. I've read the book.
Yeah.
I've seen the show. They had dialogue pulled right out of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was trying to reread the book, and I couldn't because I kept just thinking of the show. Not in a bad way. Yeah. It was just I had just watched it twice back to back.
Yeah. And I felt the because there was some stuff added into the show that's not in the book, of course, but it didn't shock me because it was just like, it was pure Neil Gaiman, that it was like, these were ideas he had, or maybe him and Pratchett that talked about them, and then it didn't work for the book, but he's like, I can make it work for a TV show. Also,
they added stuff that enhanced the original story.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It wasn't like
it didn't take away, like, even if, like, it wasn't stuff that they had talked about, it was stuff that, like, enhanced the story and, you know.
Well, and I also think that it was just because, like, he's gotten better as a writer, so it's just like, structure-wise, he was just like, oh, if I, like, do this will make it flow better and make more sense or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't just put Laura Moon in the whole thing.
Yeah. But anywho, a brief overview of the story. You want to go?
Okay. I don't have notes this week. That was really bad.
No, but just a brief overview of what is Good Omens about.
Okay, Good Omens is about the son of Satan coming to the world, and when he's 11, he's going to destroy the world. And
he's going to start the apocalypse.
He's going to start the apocalypse. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, he's not going to destroy the world. He's just starting the apocalypse.
He's just going to, light the match that burns the house down.
Exactly.
And there's a demon and an angel on Earth who kind of are working together to prevent it because they like humanity.
Yeah, they like living on Earth.
Yeah.
And they've been not the only ones around, but they've been around since the beginning, since Adam and Eve. Yeah. Essentially, so.
That's a good brief overview, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's
other characters. Well, I thought you said brief.
Yeah, but just...
You said brief. I did brief.
Fair enough. Okay, then.
Yeah. You can go more into depth if you want.
Well, I assume that at some points we will.
Nope.
Oh. Well, the director was Douglas MacKinnon. As you said, Neil Gaiman, showrunner, wrote it.
Yeah.
Obviously based with the book that he wrote with Terry Pratchett.
Mm-hmm. Which is a great book, and you should go read it.
Absolutely.
I would read it before the show.
I mean, I've always recommended you do it backwards.
Yeah, and I usually do too, but I feel like there's more backstory in the show than there was in the book, so it's okay if you do it book and then show.
Yeah, no, and again, I feel like this was such a good adaptation that it's, like, both are really good in just slightly different ways. This, because I was also happy to see after the end of the first episode in the credits, BBC logo showed up, and I was like, perfect, because... This has the right amount of British needed.
Yes.
As in 99%.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about the cast, because I want to say something that you don't know.
Okay.
That you might not know. Maybe you know. I don't know.
All right.
Do you listen to David Tennant's podcast?
I do not.
It's called David Tennant Does a Podcast.
Ah.
Remember how that was all of a sudden about our podcast? You shut it down. We could have sued him, Dan.
I think he would win.
Yeah. So he does a podcast where he interviews a famous person for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And he had Michael Sheen on.
Who is, of course, Aziraphale.
Yes, and David Tennant as Crowley.
Yes.
So Michael Sheen is actually friends with Neil Gaiman.
Oh. Yes, I actually read that in an interview. Anyway, continue.
They met because Michael Sheen was the bad guy vampire in the Twilight series.
Yeah.
And he was doing an interview, and the interviewer was, like, talking down about Twilight.
Oh, really?
And he kind of put the interviewer in his place by saying, like, you can't just dismiss fantasy and sci-fi and comic books like this. That's not fair. There's been some great stuff written. And then he started talking about Neil Gaiman.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Gaiman saw it and saw the interview, and 6 months later sent Michael Sheen a package of first editions of all of his books and said, thank you for, like, defending me in the interview. Do you want to have lunch sometime? So then they went to lunch, and that's a funny story. You should listen to that podcast, because I'm not just going to replay the whole
sure,
thing.
Yeah.
And they became friends after that, and they started hanging out. And then when, like, 10 years ago, when Neil Gaiman started thinking about making Good Omens into a movie or a series, he talked to Michael Sheen about playing Crowley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were both, like, really into it, but then as time went on, Michael Sheen started thinking that he was more of a Aziraphale, and he was, like, really nervous because he didn't want to, like, offend Neil Gaiman by saying I don't think I can be Crowley.
Yeah.
But then it turned out that Neil Gaiman was thinking the same thing, so when they finally told each other, they like decided that. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, of course,
He's so good.
I felt David Tennant and Michael Sheen were perfect cast
Yeah.
as Crowley.
Oh my God.
And Aziraphale.
I love David Tennant as Crowley. I can watch him all day, just lounge around in leather pads.
Well, yeah, he's got the right amount of like arrogance and nonchalance
and sincerity. Yeah, totally.
Because even when he spoilers, of course, when he finds the bookshop burned down, he's all like, "My best friend's dead."
It was so touching.
When the part of the show, he's just like, "Whatever, man."
Yeah.
So.
And when he's continuously trying to convince Aziraphale to like go away with him.
Yeah,
it's just so cute. Yeah. The fandom has gone crazy.
Oh yeah, I assume.
Oh my God, you should. I'll show you later.
Maybe I don't want to see
the art. No, it's mostly like G-rated.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were the main two, playing the angel and the demon. Frances McDormand played the voice of God.
So good. Yeah.
And then just right from the start, I was just like sold on the
totally,
casting
right?
of the two, because they're the two main driving forces of the entire story.
Yeah, if they're not right, then nothing else is going to be right. But I thought that there was no one miscast in this, to me.
Yeah.
Every person was right for their part. I particularly loved whoever played Adam Young.
I got his name here. His name is Sam Taylor Buck.
And the them.
And the them, yeah. So you got the Pepper, who was Amma Reese.
Yeah.
You got him. I assume that's Ian Galkoff was Brian. Alfie Taylor as Wensleydale.
The four of them. It was and the way that they like set up their little play fort in the forest.
Yeah.
That was like how I pictured it. Like it felt like they had pulled it out of my brain. Like I just thought he was such a kid-looking kid.
Yeah.
He didn't look like a Hollywood kid, you know?
Well, and to his credit as well, in I think it's episode 3 or 4
when he starts
going all Antichrist, and I was like, wow, well done.
Yeah, he was excellent.
Yeah.
And the other kids like reacting to him and stuff were good too. They felt like real children. They didn't feel like I was watching actors playing children.
Fair enough.
And they were pretentious and precious, you know? I hate that. When a kid, they're like, la.
Right. Yeah, so let's see. Sian Brooke played Deidre Young, and Daniel Mays played Arthur Young, which is...
Oh, his parents.
His parents.
Yeah.
The other angels mentioned, John Hamm played Gabriel.
He was good, hey?
Super good. I read a lot of stuff, and Neil Gaiman basically just like asked him out of the blue. He's just like, hey, you want to be in this and be Gabriel? Because Gabriel's not in the book.
No, Gabriel's Metatron,
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of blended the role a little bit, but I liked his description. He's just like, he's saying the lines with such sincerity, and you want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. Also, on a side note, because I know I bitch about contacts.
Yes, they a lot of contacts in this one.
I loved Gabriel's eyes. I thought they looked so cool and real, even though you know they're not. And same with Crowley's eyes. Yeah, I thought they did a very good job with the contacts.
His were interesting because they were so big.
Well, I think they weren't quite a full sclera. I think they were really close, so you can sometimes see a little bit of the white, and that makes it look bigger.
Yeah. Let's see, and then you got Paul Chahidi was Sandalphon, which was like the shorter one with like the weird stuff in his teeth.
Oh yeah.
He just looked greasy the whole time. I'm just like, Angel is greasy looking. Let's see, you got Dune McKin-Chan was Archangel Michael.
Oh, she was good.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting that they cast like some of the angels and some of the demons were like not like they were women playing kind of men's roles. Although on Twitter somebody asked Neil Gaiman if Aziraphale and Crowley were gay, and he said no, they're celestial beings, they're not humans, they're not meow. And then somebody else wrote, but are they in love? And he's like, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, and then let's see, Gloria Abiyan-Io was Uriel. trying to remember her. No, I think she had the
gold leaf on her. Yeah,
the gold leaf on her face. There.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All the angels, they all have like a little part to play, and then I love. There was definitely that great scene where they're like down in Aziraphale's shop, and they're all like, "I'm here to buy pornography. Humans are easy to dupe. Ha ha ha." Like, it's like they obviously have had no contact with anybody. They're just like ridiculous.
I also like, speaking of heaven and hell, I really liked the way they portrayed heaven as being like a very clean, pristine kind of office building, like bureaucracy, with everybody wearing like white and khakis, and then like hell was like also an office building, but like a rundown one.
Yeah, all dingy and lights are all breaking.
Yeah, stuff
leaks
dripping.
everywhere. And to the demons, you got Ned Dennehy. He was Duke of Hell Hester.
I enjoyed that he looked like that terrible Brexit man. Boris Johnson, is that his name?
Nice. Well, and it was funny as well. I was trying to remember from the book, and I didn't recall from the description from just rereading it, but it was like, because they had like the frogs on their head or whatever, and they're just dripping with stuff, and he's looking all gross the whole time.
Yeah, they all had like weird amphibians on them, and I didn't remember that from the book either, but I didn't really mind it.
No, I didn't mind it either, because then when like Beelzebub shows up later, she's got like a fly hat going on and everything. Let's see, so Arion Bakare, he was Liger, the other Duke of Hell, and then Anna Maxwell Martin was Beelzebub. And
she was good. I kind of liked her as Beelzebub.
It was, the first time I was kind of like, and then it was like, oh no, I'm in.
Yeah. Especially when she spoke and there was that slight buzz reverb thing going on in her voice.
Well, they did a really good job for people who needed that extra effect for their voices or that kind of thing.
They didn't overdo it.
No.
Yeah.
And then you got Elizabeth Barrington was Dagon, Lord of Flies.
Huh.
So anything more about the demons?
They were cool.
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of voice things, I'm jumping all over the map.
Alright, that's alright.
One of my favorite effects that they did in the show was when Aziraphale was in Madame Tracy's body, and they were both speaking through her. So sometimes it was her voice and sometimes it was his voice, but sometimes they combined the two voices together. Yeah. I thought that was so well done and so cool. Yeah. Also, I loved Madame Tracy. She's one of my favorite characters in the book and in the show.
Wow. I was just about to get her.
Okay. Madame Tracy.
First, so we're into the witch and the witches, now the witch finding. So you got Adria Adjorna. She was Anathema Device.
She was great. I wasn't sure about her when you first see her as an adult, she's going through customs. Yeah. And I was like, oh, they made her very normal. But then I liked when like she kind of dressed a little bit like a Victorian witch. Yeah. Which is my favorite aesthetic.
Well, and of course she does have some...
She's an excellent actress too.
Yeah, she's really good. And then, she has just some good lines where I think Newt says something and then she's like, oh no, you did a good job. I am a witch.
Yeah. You found me.
You found me. I'm a witch. Yeah. So Jack Whitehall, he was Newton Pulsifer.
I've never seen him in anything else except for the Big Fat Quiz of the Year. Which I don't know if you watched that.
I definitely have not.
It's a British show where they have I guess it's not quite... No, sometimes A-listers on there. But they do a quiz show at the end of every year that's about the year. And it's really, really funny. What's his name is on it all the time from The Mighty Boosh.
Okay, yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I know who you're talking about.
He's really hot. Anyways, he's on a lot, and the guy that plays the nerd on IT Crowd's on a lot.
Right. And he's got a long, complicated last name.
Yeah. And Russell...
T. Davies?
Nope. No? Not Russell Crowe. Something Russell. British guy, does a lot of drugs and women, and then he turns...
The comedian guy?
Yeah, then he turns spiritual.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And wears little pants.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
He's on there a lot. And then Jack Whitehall, I've seen him only on there. And he's really funny on there.
Okay, fair enough.
But I recognized him, and I had to Google him to figure out why I recognized him. But he was really good at this. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he plays pretty... dorky, shy guy.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like in over his head.
Not like that in like real life.
Yeah, sure. No, but that's, the role. And but he's just like way in over his head and doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
The entire time. Michael McKean plays Shadwell.
Yeah, from
The Witchfinder. I don't know.
What? Oh my god, why doesn't my brain work anymore? The movie about rock stars, it's a mockumentary.
Oh, this is Spinal Tap.
Yeah, he's in Spinal Tap.
Yes, of course. No, I instantly recognized him, of course.
Yeah.
And he was really great, just like always muttering and yelling at Madame Tracy and everything.
He's like, you Jezebel.
You Jezebel.
Babylon.
Yeah. Who, of course, was played by Miranda Richardson, who was Madame Tracy.
I recognize the name, I don't know what she's from.
Yeah, she's been in a ton of stuff as well. Actually, she was the mother from Sleepy Hollow. She was like the main witch who was...
Really?
Yeah, like had the plan and everything.
Oh yeah, I can see it now that you say it. Yeah. She was really good.
She was really good in this as well.
I loved all her costumes.
Yeah.
And I loved every time like Shadwell's like, "You're whore of Babylon," just like you say the nicest things.
Yeah. Oh, you. Well, and then of course when you first meet her with Newt, and she's like, "Oh, I'm here for the ad," and she's like, "Oh, okay," and then like, "Oh, but I don't do that on Thursdays, so oh, if you want that, that's extra." He's like, "No, the other ad." Yeah, very nice. We spoke about the kids, and then you got the horsemen.
Oh, the horsemen were great.
So first we got Simon Merrills, who was the International Express man, who was going around delivering all of the implements of the horsemen.
Yes.
So he shows up, let's see.
To call them to the apocalypse.
Yeah. Muriel Enos was War.
She was great. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really well cast.
I think it was a slightly different intro, but it was still like the same-ish intro.
Same vibe.
Yeah, same kind of thing. It was so funny because the peace conference, and then they're just like, "Oh, who's gonna sign first?" And they just start getting in an argument about who's signing first.
Got guns out.
And then they all got guns in a second. I just love that. He's like, "Are you trying to make me a mockery to my people by not letting me sign first?" So that was so funny because it's like so petty and so true.
Yeah, so true. That's that part.
Let's see. Brian Cox was Death. Well, I think the voice of Death.
He was great.
Yeah. They really. Brian Cox has been in everything. He's big time actor, but he was not the performer. That guy's name was Jamie Hill, so they kind of Darth Vader'd him.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
The effect of this kind of rotten skull was very cool.
Yeah.
And anytime like the post guy, the delivery guy dies, and they kind of just do a fade into space. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, they affected his voice a lot. Let's see, Lourdes Faberez was Pollution.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
Like I thought that the look that they gave her and like the kind of like androgynous kind of and when she goes to sign and like the pen leaks everywhere. Yeah. It's good. I liked her.
Yeah, and it's funny because even in the book they talk about it, and they only mention it a little bit in the show, but it's just like took over from Pestilence because Pestilence got annoyed by antibiotics essentially. But Pollution was just like, oh, if you only knew what the future had in store, because they just talk about like all of Pollution projects and everything.
The Pestilence is making a comeback now thanks to the anti-vax moms.
Heyo, and then Yusuf Gatewood was Famine.
Oh, I really liked him.
Yeah, me too.
I thought he was really cool looking, and I liked that, they gave him that corporate look. They kept that from the book and everything.
Yeah.
And I thought that the effect when they made his teeth really long and pointy was really well done because it's very easy to make that look bad.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And just his intro when he was talking, because again, they don't go into it as much as the book, but his introing the chow food.
Yeah, the food that's not food.
The food that's not food. It's just like, and this milkshake has no nutritional value, but no milkshake does.
Yeah.
And he's like, when you deliver it, press this button, and then it says like a bunch of legalese.
Yeah. Or when they introduce him with it, he was like, oh, I've never had this many rich people in a room feeling so hungry.
Yes. Yeah, in the book they do an extra little bit where a woman comes up with his book because he's doctor or whatever, and like he's got like a diet plan.
Yeah,
and then he signs it for her, and then he's like, oh, she's gonna be dead in like 2 months or whatever. It's like the diet plan will literally kill you, essentially. Yeah, so they were interesting. They were really good, and it was cool that we got. I think that we were just given the time to see all these things. This is what I was saying previously, or what I wanted to say essentially, that like episode 1 is super just loaded with so much, but it's because then the rest of the show is just like the apocalypse.
Yeah, and I was okay with that. Yeah, I really enjoyed. I don't care if it's cheesy or not, but I really enjoyed all the shots of the 4 horsemen on their motorcycles just driving around.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
it was so cool.
Yeah.
And their bikes were cool, and I loved that War had, like...
chainmail.
Yeah, like the scale mail on her, like, epaulets on her jacket was so cool.
I did like that as well.
It was so good. I want to rewatch it again. Maybe I'll wait a month, though. I've already watched it twice in a month.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I could give it a rewatch as well. Yeah, I don't know. Episode 1 starts from the beginning. Got Adam and Eve, Crowley and Aziraphale, and
yeah, so people were mad that they cast not white people as Adam and Eve.
No, whatever.
Yeah. No, just racist though.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's like we're such a thing to take place, and we all know that Africa was the cradle of civilization. Like that's where humans started. So whatever.
But white people.
Yeah, but no, it was just great because they do the whole thing that. Here's one of the things. Okay, so the book, at least to me, is such a great marriage of Neil Gaiman's great storytelling and Terry Pratchett's comedic fantasy.
Yeah.
And the show 100% brought that to life.
For sure.
Because they go the whole thing where the creation of the world, and it was like, oh no, they were wrong by half an hour or by 15 minutes or whatever. It was actually on October 24th, and they do a whole big thing. And so like they bring all those elements, and that's what makes it such a good adaptation. And
I think
so British.
taking dialogue directly from the book probably helped with that.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and obviously in places you got to change some things here and there, but it was.
And you got to add stuff because you can't be like they talked about blah 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 and then this happened.
Of course, yeah.
You have to show people doing that.
Well, and plus the show taking place, more in the modern current times versus when he wrote the book or when they wrote the book. Sorry.
When did he write the book? Like 80?
Yeah.
90?
I was about to say early 90s. I think it was 91.
Yeah.
So. Things change, times they change, whatever. But because like the fact that Crowley's car has like a tape deck, but it's a CD player.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so episode 1 starts at the beginning, and then when Adam and Eve eat the apple and they leave, and then it was so well depicted with Aziraphale with the sword. He's like, it's cold and there's animals out there.
Yeah.
And you see in the background him fighting a lion.
And I love that line where like Crowley is like, well, what if I did the right thing and you did the wrong thing?
Yeah. Even just this whole like, well, that went down like a lead balloon. He's like, that doesn't make sense. Put a big tree with a neon sign. Yeah. And it was funny because I thought right away that there was going to be the part about him losing a sword. This was one of the things I was going to say about the show is they did rearrange events. But it makes way more sense in like a show. So, kind of thing. So I was totally fine with it.
Oh, me too. There's a difference between rearranging events and keeping the spirit of the book alive versus completely like taking a concept and completely making your own story so that you can stretch it out for many seasons. American fucking gods.
Yeah, so just like I said, so much happens. We get the intro of the Antichrist being brought in, Crowley having to give it to the nuns.
Yeah, so as a promo for the show, they had a little musical number where the nuns
Right,
sang.
you're mentioning that.
Yeah, and Neil Gaiman was in it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was just, I thought it was going to be in the show, and I was a bit worried that they were going to turn it into a musical.
Right.
But they didn't. That was just for a promo.
No.
Yeah.
That scene was like it was interestingly shot because it was always like almost super close up and Dutch angle all the time. It was just like everything's off kilter and what's going on. And so there's a baby swap. They screw it up. Well, not they screw it up. The nuns kind of misinterpret. And so the baby that...
Because there's that excellent scene where they're talking about winks as communication.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, and then so Aziraphale and Crowley, they're like, they're like, oh, we'll influence the child, both of us, and that way it'll be pretty much just whatever.
It'll be neutral.
It'll be neutral, but they're influencing the wrong child.
Yeah, they screw up. They end up they influence the wrong child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock is his name, and then Adam, who is the actual Antichrist, just grows up a normal kid living
as super British
in Tadfield.
Yeah.
And super British, and I can't remember if the show mentions it. They do mention it a little bit, but like because he's the Antichrist, he's got like a field of non-detection and like the town.
They do mention it once.
They do mention it, but like the town remains like highways don't go there, and like there's all sorts of like little subtle things that just his being there.
And you can like
changes the weather.
Yeah, you can kind of control reality, but without knowing it.
Yeah.
So like summers are always perfect summers, and
autumns are autumns, and there's Christmas.
Yeah, white Christmases. Yeah.
And then he gets the Hellhound, who becomes dog.
Dog's so cute.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know if this was Terry Pratchett or Neil Gaiman, but the idea that the dog, the Hellhound, is going to be whatever. The name would influence what the Hellhound becomes.
Yeah, right. They're all like, if it's gonna call him Throat Ripper, it'll become like some weird beast or whatever.
Yeah, and then just the idea that he calls it dog, and he's just the most dog that ever lived.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Well, and of course, they can't do it in the show, but in the book there's always a little bit of POV from the dog's perspective, where he's just like, oh, I was chasing that cat and almost got him.
They kind of do that in the show in one scene, where the dog's like tries to like intimidate the cat and it scratches its nose.
Yeah, no, but there's more of that in the book.
Totally. But they did bring it in a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Episode 2, we get the introduction of the witches and Shadwell, and we get the witch burning with Agnes Nutter.
Did you love that?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I got her name down here. Josie Lawrence, who plays Agnes Nutter. She also played that Agnes Nutter in a 2014 BBC Radio 4 adaptation of Good Omens.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So she had it.
Yeah, she already had the lines down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so well done. The whole town, and of course everything. They're just like, she's recommending running as a type of exercise to feel good. Madness.
I think doesn't the Witchfinder say something like, "Oh, she must be chased by tiny demons."
Yeah.
Invisible demons.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. And then so they burn her at the stake, but she loads up her pockets and her dress petticoats with gunpowder and nails.
Yeah.
And kills everyone.
He explodes in it.
Yeah.
But she did write the nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter, which chronicles all of her prophecies for the next
300 years or so.
300 years.
Yeah.
And they published them, but every copy was destroyed except the original.
Well, the publisher, or like the author's copy.
Yeah, the author's copy.
Yeah. And then which gets passed down to her descendants, and then they all use the prophecies to figure stuff out, live life, etc.
Like buying stock in Apple.
Buying stock in Apple. Exactly. Don't buy Betamax.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 3 I think was one of my favorites because that's when they show...
Is that when they start with their friendship?
Yes.
Oh my god, that was my favorite too.
Yeah, it was so good just to see them throughout history and then just always encountering each other.
How their friendship develops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the best part was when they're both the knights and he's just like, you tangled with the Black Knight. He's like, Crowley? They just looked at their helmets and like, man, it's you.
I think my favorite was the World War II scene where in their church.
Yeah.
And Aziraphale thinks that he's outsmarted the Nazis, but the Nazis have actually outsmarted him.
Yes.
They've double-crossed him.
Yeah. Double agent.
But Crowley comes in because it's on holy ground.
Yeah.
He does this kind of weird, like, almost dance.
Yeah, he's like tapping down things.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't stand. He's like, it's burning.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that one was good. I liked, of course, when they're when they're watching some Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, that was great too.
That's when we get the actual example of the arrangement where they flip a coin for who's going to have to go do a temptation and a miracle.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, instead of both of us going, one of us will go and just do both.
Yeah, because they don't want to go to Edinburgh.
Yeah. But I just like, because, Tennant, when he's watching that, and he's just like, I like better the funny ones. just thought that was
the first time Tennant's in the Globe Theatre as a character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's that Doctor Who episode.
Yes.
Yeah, where he's the doctor, remember?
Speaking of, the whole time I was watching, there's that one license plate, I think it was Newt's, and I was just like, it's gotta spell something, it's gotta be an anagram, because I think it's Sid Rat.
Okay.
And it's TARDIS, and I was like,
nice.
Yeah, when I looked it up, and I was like, yeah, of course. It was like in my brain the whole time. I'm like, it's gotta spell something.
I was always just distracted by the Dick Turpin.
Dick Turpin, yeah. But yeah, like episode 3 was so great with just that throughout the ages, and what was after in episode 4? Oh, I think episode 4 is when things start going off.
Which
because
episode?
episode 3 ends with the nuclear reactors being empty.
Right. Which episode has the plants in it? Because that's a great scene.
At Crowley's house?
Yeah, when he starts threatening the plants and they're all shaking in the background.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, I don't know. That might be 3.
That's not part of the story at all. I just like that.
It's a great background.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I also like the scene where I had it and then it disappeared.
Oh no.
I'll think of it at some point.
I think it's episode 2 when they hit Anathema with the car and then they get the bike.
And then bicycles playing in the car?
Yeah, and bicycles playing, and then they get the book, but then it was just really well executed that, he's like, let there be light. She's like, why is it so bright out? And then he turns it off right away. And then he heals all her wounds and everything. So, I don't know. I thought that was just such a really good scene. And then, because when they're driving in the car and they're all just like, they're both bickering back and forth, and she's just like, what?
My bike didn't have speeds before.
Yeah, he's just like, let God heal this bicycle. So yeah, episode 4 I think was when things started happening with like Atlantis rising, and then
and the Kraken
and other stuff like that.
Yeah, and episode 4 where the spaceship comes down and pulls Newt over, because that's an excellent scene.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think that might have been episode 3. It's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think it's when the story starts like really compressing and amping up, because that's when Newt goes to Tadfield.
Yeah.
Because he figured it. He was like, oh, there's all these great weather phenomena there. I should check it out.
Aziraphale and Crowley both have Shadwell on their pay list.
Yes.
And they think that they have this witch hunter's army at their disposal, so they both independently contact him and ask him to go check out Tadfield.
Aziraphale has the Book of Prophecies, so he knows the actual correct information. Yeah. Crowley doesn't.
Right. He just knows it's Tadfield.
He just knows it's
Tadfield. I can't remember why.
Yeah.
Because of the record, something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Newt goes there to investigate and meets
Anathema. Yeah.
You just always want to say her name wrong.
And then that's when the Antichrist stuff's hitting the fan, and then storms are happening, the world's going crazy.
And Newt and Anathema have sex.
And they do.
Because it's a prophecy.
Because it's in the prophecies.
I thought their story was really cute, and their love story was kind of cute, but that one scene, I'm like, is she only doing it because it's in the prophecies? Because that's kind of gross.
Well, also she was like, no, she knew she wasn't going to die. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope that there is attraction there. I'm going to assume yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's the only part of the story that I'm like, that's a little... Yeah. But I get why it's in there and stuff and why it works, but it's also a little bit like, ew. I'm just going to go with Agnes knew they were attracted to each other and she needed that push.
Right. Well, and this was also, episode 4 was also the scene where, the episode where... So Aziraphale, I think also Crowley gets confronted by Hastur and Lager, kills him with the holy water, jumps into his phone, which was fun, and then traps him in an answering machine. And at the same time, Shadwell goes to Aziraphale because he's like, maybe I can get some money.
Right.
But Aziraphale's talking to the Metatron, Because he's like, hey, no, I know where the Antichrist is. We don't have to go to war.
We can just kill the Antichrist.
We can just kill the Antichrist. And they're like, no, the war, we're doing it.
What was that line? It was like, we can't win a war without having a war or something stupid like that.
That was when Gabriel and them, they're talking and the one's like, about the horsemen. And he's like, we can't have war without war. And then he just starts like cracking up laughing. And he's like, that's so good. And it's like the worst. Can't have war without war. So yeah, basically like the whole point is like Devin was saying, heaven and hell want to fight.
They want to.
But Crowley and Aziraphale are like, no, because it'll destroy the world. The world's cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so and then Shadwell comes in thinking that Aziraphale is some sort of demon or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he pushes him, just maneuvers him accidentally into the portal to go to heaven.
Yes, because then Aziraphale opened to talk to the Metatron.
Yes.
Yeah. And so he was
discorporeated.
Yeah. His body evaporated.
Yeah, becomes incorporeal.
Yes.
Which was, I thought that was it was such a funny scene when he's up there and there's like the whole army regiment and the guy's yelling at him.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? And then, because he thinks that he was going to talk about his sword, but he's talking about his body.
Yeah.
And then, so episode 5, it all goes nuts.
Episode 5 is great.
Yeah.
That's the episode where he drives through the fire.
I was about to say, so you can't mention this episode without the M25.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
They lit that car on fire and put David Tennant inside it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Way to go, Tennant, my man.
In an interview with Neil Gaiman, he's talking about how with Marvel movies, they sometimes let the actors do their own stunts. They put wires and they like take all the like
precautions,
and with this one they lit a car on fire and put David Tennant in it and hope for the best.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm sure they took lots of precautions.
I'm sure, yes.
But it wasn't an effect. That car was on fire and he was inside of it.
Very nice. Yeah, so in the book it's mentioned a bunch of times, and in the show it's hinted at, and then this is where, so the M25, which is, I assume, a highway in London, is actually been maneuvered to be a sigil of the Great Beast, and what is it, Hail to the Great Beast, or the Great Devourer, or something along those lines?
Hail to the Great Beast, Devourer of Worlds, or something like that. Yeah.
And so Crowley had designed it so it would be like water on a prey wheel, and it would always be essentially evil. So it catches fire.
Yeah.
When the
and he's on it.
Yeah, and when the apocalypse. Well, he's trying to get on it to like go to Tadfield.
Yes.
And then he's just like, I gotta go, because this wasn't in the book, but then Hester shows up in his car.
Yes.
And he's like, dude, I'm taking you with me. And he's like, we're going through the fire.
Yeah. And Hester ends up just incorporating.
Yeah, ends up catching fire and dying, but Tennant survives.
But Crowley doesn't, because he has imagination, which no other demon has.
That's right. Keeps his car alive with the power of imagination.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. That goes on, and then that was the whole time. This was the Shadwell, Tracy, Aziraphale stuff with.
Yeah.
So she does like a seance.
He enters her body.
Yeah. And then you get the classic. There's like the woman there wanting to talk to her husband, and he's like, "Oh, okay, he's right here. Make it quick though." And
then she's telling this like long board story.
Yeah, this long mundane story.
Yeah. I tell her to shut up. It was great.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Devin earlier, was the execution of Tracy Aziraphale.
Oh my god, it was so good. Like, it's one of my favorite scenes. Yeah. But also, I'm skipping ahead. I don't care. One of the best scenes in the entire show is Tracy and Shadwell and Aziraphale are talking to the guard of the Air Force Base.
Right.
And they're trying to get in, and he's like getting mad at them. And then Crowley shows up in the flaming car, and he's trying to get in. And then all of a sudden, like, so they're kind of arguing, and then Adam and them just ride in the background.
Just the gate opens, and then just ride in their little bikes.
Tony laughed so hard. And episode 5 ends like that, and episode 6 starts like that. We watched 5 and 6 back to back.
Right.
And I think there's a different song playing in the car at the end of 5 and the beginning of 6. But I don't know if that was on purpose. I kind of think so.
I think so as well.
Yeah. Anyways, because they could have just used the same footage, but they didn't. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So Tony saw it, laughed out loud, saw it again, and laughed out loud. It's one of the best scenes. Like, it's so well executed.
Yeah, I was going to say, just before that, there was... I loved the triple scene of the neighborhood watch guy.
Oh my god, yeah.
Encountering the four horsemen, then the them, and then Crowley.
And then Crowley. And he wanted to say, but your car's on fire.
But sir, your car is on fire. Yeah. Because it's the four bikers, of course, they're all like hooliganish, and then he's just like, oh, we're lost. And then he's like, gives them directions to the Air Force Base.
Super convoluted directions.
Yeah. Make no sense. And then they're like, and Death's like, I got it, let's go.
And then he gives them shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you do.
As you do, because they're kids.
Yeah.
And begonias.
Yeah.
Which I think is a flower.
Probably.
And then Crowley shows up to ask for directions in his, like, flaming car.
And his car is still on fire. That's what... But before I watched the show, I hadn't reread the book yet. Yeah. So I thought that the car... I didn't remember that the car stays on fire the whole time.
So good.
Yeah. And then it's down to episode 6.
Episode 6.
So when I first started, I didn't know there was only 6 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So as I was going, I was like, okay. And I was like, oh no. I was like, this is...
more.
Yeah, basically. But anyway...
I thought that the way that they broke up, it was the perfect amount of episodes.
Absolutely.
Like, it didn't feel... Part of me rushed at any point. It didn't feel like they added a bunch of filler at any point.
There was no bloat, as it were, just to be like, let's make it 8 episodes. It was like...
We didn't get 20 minutes of them walking around in Paris with music playing. Sorry, I just watched The Nanny, and that happens in one of the episodes.
Very nice.
It's just them walking around in Paris with music playing.
Sure.
It's so, like... Sorry. Me and my hate for filler.
Yeah. So yes, like Devin said, everybody's trying to get to the Air Force Base.
Yes.
Crowley's car falls apart.
Yes.
There's like a good moment there.
Yeah. So Aziraphale has to do the bad thing.
Yeah.
Just disappears the car.
Yeah. But it's just pretty good because he's like, Crowley, do something. He's like, I'm having a moment. This was one thing I would have liked to have seen, because in the book, that them create their own implements of the horsemen.
Oh,
they didn't do that in the show. I was kind of disappointed in that, but...
I didn't mind. I thought the scene between them and the horsemen was great.
It's great, but I just didn't like how they all just picked up War's sword and then like yelled something.
Yeah.
Like I like kind of like the depiction in the book, because they all have their own implements of destruction, and then they use them to like kill become the new horsemen, almost, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right. That was all.
I enjoyed like Pepper's interaction with War, and then I kind of felt like it went downhill from there, but I still enjoyed the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that what's the stinky boy's name? Brian's of course. Yeah. Brian's interaction with pollution was kind of like whatever, and then Wensleydale's interaction with famine was a bit... It made me sneeze. It was a bit whatever. It was mediocre.
Fair enough.
I might.
I know, that's why I'm waiting. I'll cut it out.
No, you should leave it in. People want to hear me sneeze.
No.
Yeah. You don't know that.
But yeah, so the Four Horsemen go to this military base. It has communication equipment. They hack every computer. Essentially, it's going to launch all the nukes around the world. Classic start to the apocalypse.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good work for horror. Why don't my words work?
I don't know.
So, while that's all happening, Nementhea device and Newt. What's her name?
Anathema, yes.
And Newt.
They go into the base.
They break into the base and they get to where all the computers are.
Yeah.
And then cat hair flies at my face. And then they decide that they need to stop it. And Newt confesses that he's not actually a computer programmer.
Yeah.
He breaks stuff. And Anathema figures out that the way to stop it is to get him to fix the computer so that it breaks.
Basically.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, that's great. So they stop the apocalypse, and then the four horsemen and they confront each other. The horsemen lose. Death is like, well, I'm always around. I'll see ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was straight out of the book. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then Satan shows up.
Well, no, before Satan,
right.
you got Gabriel and Beelzebub.
That was a good little scene.
It was great, and in the book it was Metatron, but replaced with Gabriel with John Hamm, which was fine, and because they're both like, no, you got to still start the apocalypse. We have a war to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't want to do a war.
Yeah. Crowley and Aziraphale figure out how to trick them essentially by saying, "Oh, it's the ineffable plan."
That's right. It's unknowable. How do you know that it's supposed to be? Yeah. Is that the ineffable plan? The one that we can't know? Yeah. Which was great. But this was something that was not in the book, was what happens afterwards when Satan shows up.
I think Satan showed up in the book.
No. In the book, there's some rumblings, and then Adam makes a sign, and then it just stops.
Oh.
So
wow, I remembered it wrong.
Yeah, because I was expecting it almost when I was reading it. I was like, oh, no. So yeah, in this, which I'm pretty sure it said Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes, he plays Satan.
And he comes popping out of the ground, and I was like, oh man, because that was not the depiction of Satan I was expecting. Because everything else
is like a people.
Is a person, yeah. So I was expecting classic Lucifer, blonde, long locks or whatever showing up, but it was like, nope, straight up classic Satan depiction.
Devil thing. Yeah.
Devil. And then Adam tells him, "You're not my dad.
You're not my real dad." Yeah.
And basically makes himself human, essentially.
Yeah, because he still has some control over reality.
Yeah. And
then his real dad.
It was cool. It was a great conclusion. Classic. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. And then we get the aftermath a little bit.
This was almost shocking to me because this scene we just what we just broke down was 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes of the rest. I was just surprised that they spent so much time, but I was grateful.
Yeah.
It was totally fine, but it was weird,
No, I thought it was weird pacing too, but I liked it.
Yeah, no, I was totally fine with it, but it's just normally in these kind of things, you don't usually get that long conclusion, essentially.
Yeah.
That it's here's what happens to your characters.
I feel like we needed it.
Yeah.
Because you just become so attached to every character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I said, it was crazy just, so Shadwell and Tracy.
They end up becoming a couple.
They're going to be a couple because she's like, oh, we can leave to the country.
Yeah.
Newton and Anathema, they're going to be together.
And Anathema inherits the next book of
chapter of prophecies, yeah.
And she burns it so she can live her own life.
Yeah.
Which is good. And then our final couple, Crowley and Aziraphale.
Yeah.
They send the sword back with the post guy, who's not dead. He's back.
Well, yeah, Adam kind of reset things back to before the apocalypse started.
Yeah, which I was happy.
Yeah.
Because I liked him.
Yeah.
He had a nice wife, had a good life going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that was straight out of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it made me happy that they continued that. So Aziraphale and Crowley have the last...
Yeah. Burned prophecy, but they can still read it.
Yeah. From...
Agnes Nutter.
Yeah. Thank you. And it says something about swapping faces.
Yeah. Choose your sides and swap faces or something along those lines.
Yeah. That's the prophecies for dummies version.
Yeah.
So they go back. Spoilers. At what point did you realize that they had switched bodies?
Oh, the beginning of the episode when you see David Tennant in hell.
Yeah. You knew it then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because
how did you figure it out that fast?
It's story. I knew it.
I knew it from when Aziraphale's in this bookshop and Crowley's looking at the car and then gets in a taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I didn't know it from there.
You
just decided that.
I just assumed that was happening. So.
I don't believe you, Dad. You're
smart.
But
anywho, so it's a great It's just great.
It's so great.
Because, so, Crowley, they're like, we're going to bathe you in holy water, and Aziraphale, we're going to burn you with hellfire.
Yeah. But they've switched
Places.
looks, bodies, kind of.
Yeah.
So... David Tennant in the bathtub is the best ever.
It was pretty hilarious.
Slashing, asking for rubber duck.
Yeah. It gets Michael the Miracle Mattel.
Yeah, it was good.
I just loved it too because when he's in there and then all the other demons are like, he's gone native. Because he's just splashing around in the tub. And then Aziraphale stepping in the hellfire and then he breathes hellfire at the angels. And then we just see them back in the park in London.
So the angels and the demons agree to leave him alone.
Yes, Crowley, I don't think we get as much dialogue from Aziraphale on it, but Crowley's just like, so you're going to leave me alone now, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
they just get to live their life on Earth as best friends.
Yeah.
And they go to the Rex for dinner. Yeah. And then a nightingale sings at a park, which I guess is a song?
It's an old song, I think it was, and then... Gaiman liked the line, so he put it in the book.
Right. Nice.
So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was clever and cool, and I liked it. And like I said, that's not in the book. So.
No, it's not. I didn't think it was.
No, yeah.
I didn't remember that.
So that's what I was saying, that it was like, could have been an idea they had, and or it was just like a great conclusion for their characters.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, because Crowley says, he's like, oh, are they going to leave us alone? And he's like, oh yeah, for probably a little bit. He's like, but I'm thinking that it's preparation for the big one. It's us versus them.
Yeah.
AKA angels and demons versus humans.
Yes.
And then the show ends.
And that was it.
Satisfyingly concluded. Ridiculous these days.
What?
I know.
What a well-made show that follows the book.
I know.
No.
6 episodes of just pure comedy and fantasy greatness.
And joy, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, watching it makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
Unless you have no soul. But even Dan liked it.
I think it's also like, if you know a bit about Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett and everything like that, it's just like, it's such a joy to see this.
Oh, you want to get sad?
Well, I have some notes.
At the premiere in England, which it was at a theater that I don't remember, but they never do show premieres there. They only do movie premieres.
Sure.
So they premiered the first 2 episodes, and they had a seat reserved for Terry Pratchett, and they put a little bucket of popcorn and his favorite shirt or something on it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Be sad now?
A little bit.
Yeah. Good.
I didn't know this part. I don't, because I was reading some interviews with Gaiman and some note stuff, and that like he was already working on an adaptation before Terry Pratchett died.
Yeah, he's been working on an adaptation for like 4,000 years.
Well, I got some other notes as well for that. But he was kind of like thinking it wasn't going to work or this or that kind of thing, and then he got a letter after Pratchett's death saying that he wanted him to finish it and wanted him to do it.
Aww.
Like, and I was just like, oh no, that's...
Why do people have to die, Dad?
I know, yeah. So, it was like he got a letter. Pratchett, like, it was one of his dying wishes, essentially. He's like, send Neil Gaiman this letter. And it was a letter saying, you have to do this.
You know that, because death in this one and death in all of Terry Pratchett's books is like a prevalent character.
Of course, yes.
And apparently he used to get letters all the time from people with terminal illness that were saying that like his portrayal of death made them feel better about dying.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so heavy, hey? Yeah. Like, oh, that's a lot of responsibility. Yeah.
Considering, it's like fantasy comedy that he's doing.
But it made people feel more comfortable with it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Just I have some notes here about some other stuff. So Terry Gilliam was trying to adapt it a few times. Yeah.
He went to the premiere.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He tried for 10 years before admitting defeat. And he came close in 2002, and he had Robin Williams on board to play Aziraphale, and Johnny Depp signed on to play Crowley.
I heard that.
He had $50 million from investors, and he just needed a Hollywood studio and some more money just to kind of start pre-production. It was his confidence, and the whole project fell apart because it was post 9/11 and before Pirates of the Caribbean, and he was told nobody wants to see Johnny Depp movies. So interestingly, it could have maybe happened, of course.
I I don't think anybody could play Crowley as well as David Tennant did.
Agreed.
But I could see Johnny Depp in that time period as being a good option.
Yeah.
And I guess I could see Robin Williams as Aziraphale.
Yeah.
But it would have been a different...
Well, it would have been an Americanized almost version.
It would have been Americanized, and it wouldn't... The way that Michael Sheen and David Tennant portray their friendship or love or whatever you want to say on screen is so wholesome, and you wouldn't like, and it feels real. Like when you watch it, like if somebody's like, "Oh yeah, they've been best friends forever," I would believe it.
Yeah.
Whereas they're not. They like met on that basically. Yeah. But like if you had Johnny Depp and Robin Williams, you wouldn't get that same sense of closeness. Sure. I don't think. And I think that's an important part of it is that they're two opposites working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know where a good example of their friendship is? When they go to the paintball.
Yeah.
They go to the nunnery to get information, but it's been turned into a paintball retreat for executives.
Yeah, it's like a corporate retreat place for team building.
For team building.
Yeah.
And they get shot with paintballs, and Aziraphale's all upset about the paint on his coat.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to miracle it away because he knows that it'll be there.
It'll be stained, yeah.
And then David Tennant just blows it off.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, thank you, right? Like, I don't know. It's like little moments like that make it feel like a real friendship or relationship.
And I was like, speaking of Aziraphale's outfit, I did love his vest that he wears is worn where like all the buttons are and where you would tug it down and a little bit at the collar.
Yeah.
And where it's like he could just miracle and fix that, but he doesn't. But it's also the vest has somehow lasted for a few hundred years. So, but it's just kind of funny comparatively to Crowley's outfit is always pristinely clean. And, you know, but it's just, I thought that was it's just a nice touch. Like that his vest was worn. We should
cosplay as Aziraphale and Crowley.
Sure.
I'd do either.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his vest is just worn in those certain spots. I thought that was great.
Good.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, I think you'd always have a little bit less, and I don't mean this in like a sexual way, but like a little less intimacy with Johnny Depp and Robin Williams.
Sure.
Just because that's like Robin Williams' style of humor would like kind of put walls up, and then Johnny Depp, I mean, I guess he can be vulnerable, but he also is very much into being kind of like a crazy character with a hat.
Yeah. I had a note here about they did 109 days consecutive of filming.
Oh, wow.
On the show.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the principal of photography ended March 10th, 2018 in South Africa.
And it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one other thing I really wanted to say. It was on the tip of my brain.
Do you remember we casted it like years ago? We ever talked about it? I do, because I remember I think we casted David Tennant as Crowley.
Probably.
And I think we casted Benedict Cumberbatch as...
Yes,
as
I do remember it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because sometimes you read a book and then you have to cast the movie.
Sure, yeah.
But I think I think that's what we talked about, or possibly Tom Hiddleston as Crowley, because he would have also been a good Crowley.
Yeah. Oh, that was what I was going to say. One more thing. Sorry. When Neil Gaiman was writing it and was essentially pitching it to the BBC, because he was the showrunner on this, he basically admitted that they blew the BBC's budget in like the first half of the first episode. He was like, it would have gone way beyond their budget, but the BBC didn't stop him, and they just took the scripts to Amazon, and Amazon was like, yeah, we love it, let's do it. And so I don't, because I was trying to find out how much they spent on it.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it.
Nice.
I mean, I didn't research like as hard as I possibly could, but I was definitely trying to find a source.
Yeah.
How much money did they spend per episode or whatever? No numbers. But Gaiman though admits that he's like, oh yeah, it was gone beyond the BBC's budget immediately.
Yeah.
But Amazon was like, nope, let's do it.
Yay, Amazon!
Yeah, basically.
You.
Because I think like Devin mentioned so many times that like the effects are really good.
Yeah, they don't look cheesy.
Yeah, and like the voice stuff and all the sound effects and everything all works really well to just make this really great package. And I'm sure they did. I didn't know they set a car on fire practically, but there's of course CG in it.
I feel like they only use the car on fire in one scene.
Oh, sure.
And I think it's when David Tennant gets out of the car that's on fire.
Right.
I think the rest of it's probably CG.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Oh, I'm sure like they didn't film everything when it's on fire.
Yeah.
He's talking to the neighborhood watch guy. It's on fire. Yeah. No, but I just mean like they spent the money on it, but they didn't. Yeah, they didn't be like, no, I don't think we should do that.
No.
It seems like they everything that was written, we got to see.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, it was great. I would recommend it to a friend.
Highly recommend, as indeed.
Yes. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about Good Omens?
I don't think so. I think I've talked enough about it. Would recommend the book as well and enjoy it. There's some differences here and there, but they're not like...
Nothing is a deal breaker.
Yeah, nothing's a deal breaker about either one, essentially.
It's a well-made show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you'd like to find us, you can on the internet, tomeofuselessness.com, at Tome of Uselessness on all the social media that I will remember to post on. And you can also email us.
tomeofuselessness@gmail.com.
So if you have any questions or suggestions for show, you can email that and we'll probably answer you.
Yeah, I check it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.